Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening. My name is Amanda Mendieta, and today my classmates and I we are going to explain a model developed by William Level, a Dutch psycholinguistic, about speech production. This is one of the most influential models in psycholinguistics. Mr. Level established or creates four stages for his model. We have conceptualization, we have formulation, articulation, and self-monitoring. I am going to proceed to explain what happens at the first stage, which is conceptualization. Basically, conceptualization is the first thing that occurs in our minds, that happens in our minds when we need to create a speech. When the mind is about to do that, the mind creates something that is called mental abstraction, or happens something that is called mental abstractions. And these mental abstractions are basically operations that the brain does or the mind does to create a speech. But we have no way until this moment to know what really happens, okay? We have no empirical evidence of what happened. We have no proof. We have nothing that supports what happened, okay? So therefore, or hence, Mr. Level proceeds to name the theory that has an American psycholinguistic, Mr. David McNeill. So Mr. David McNeill introduces two concepts, that is syntactic thinking and imagistic thinking. So in one way, syntactic thinking it's about or talks about how the mind change or start to change syllables into words and words into phrases and phrases into sentences in a way that at the end it produced a speech. And imagistic thinking talks or is about the visual way of communication. For example, all the gestures that accompany the speech that we do. For example, me moving my hands while I am explaining this. Mr. McNeill says that these two concepts occur in the same time. It means simultaneously in our mind in the moment to create a speech. And that syntactic and imagistic thinking gives birth to conversation. Now, we have two problems with this theory. One, that is not clear how these two concepts start to occur in our mind. It means it is unclear the conceptualization of these two terms, okay, because there is no evidence. And second, the second problem is the difficulty of following these two concepts, because he explained these two concepts happening simultaneously, the word syllables of phrases, the creation of word syllables of phrases and the gestures through some examples, text examples. So it is not like visual or images or something that prove that this is real. So it is a theory that is proposed, but it's not like it doesn't give answer to what really happens in the mind or in the brain when a speech needs to occur. Okay, so the only thing that Mr. Level says is that a speech needs to start from.
Hello Miss, good morning. My name is Sebastián Rodriguez Ricardo, and today I'm going to be talking about the second stage of the book Psycholinguistic from Thomas Scott. In this part, I'm going to be talking about the formulation. First of all, let's going to define what is the formulation process, because in this part, the main feature is that the children start to convert the concept into linguistic forms. That means that they start to use their language acquisition to transform single words to more complex and forming meaningful utterances. In this part, we have to spot some points, but according to what I mentioned before, this means that our children start to grasp the rules of grammar and syntax, and also they start to show the understanding of semantic concepts. In this section here we have the vocabulary expansion in our mind map, because I'm working in this way because I have my mind map open here, because I'm recording with my cell phone. Here I have the stammering, the aphasia, and the slip of tongue, and the sporings. Let's gonna start with the stammering. What is this? The stammering is the process where the students start to repeat some sounds, some syllables in a conversation. It could be that the student or the children can start to doing this sound like This is the stammering, but in the book says that this not only happens to children, even this happens in adults. This happens, or the stammering can be influenced by many factors. For example, stress or anxiety, or it depends on the conversation that the individual is having at that moment. Then we have the aphasia. Aphasia is a neurological condition that is characterized by the impairment of language. It could be production or comprehension, and the severity of the aphasia depends on the place. Well, it depends in the symptoms. On the symptoms are the place where the brain damage is located. Then we have the slip of tongue. The slip of tongue. Thomas Scoville quote something about Sigmund Freud that caught my attention, that the slip of tongues are characterized also because they help us to understand the unconscious mind, because maybe it could be influenced by different factors. In the book mentioned about it could be lovely situation, sexual situation, and whatever they say. Then here we have the spoonerings. And what is a spoonering? A spoonering is a phenomenon that where the initial sounds or letters of the words are swapped into a sentence. This often happens in humorous situations, but I'm gonna give you an example. Take into account this sentence. You have hears all of my mystery lectures, and we're caught fighting a liar in the quad. This is the original sentence, but let's gonna hear the Spooner's phrase. You have missed all my history lectures and we're caught lighting a fire in the quad. If you notice, the words that I changed were mystery and history. The sound is the same. So this is why some students or some children can swap some words just guiding by the sound. And then we have lighting. I changed that word with fighting. Also, I changed the word liar to fire. Then we have the grammar development, and in the grammar development, it is important about how the children in this case. I'm talking about the student because I am projecting myself as a professor. In this case, the grammar development is about how many concepts, how many words, how many different phrases can our students use in some different situations. This is important for them because when they in the initial stage, they start to repeat and they start to absorb a lot of different words with different meanings, and they start to use them into their real situations. Then we have the semantic development. The semantic development is an important role of linguistics because it is in charge of the study of the words and how are the words organized in a sentence. For example, we can have the sentence, she ate an apple, and here we have the alternative sentence that could be the apple she ate. The meaning is the same, but the words that we have in this sentence are changed, but the meaning stays the same. Then we have the pragmatic development, and this is a branch of linguistics that is important because sometimes we're not having literally conversations. For example, I'm gonna give you an example. Take into account this situation. For example, Sarah says that it's raining, and John answers, yes, it is raining. This is a literal response. But how could be a pragmatic response? In my opinion, I think that it could be that Sarah says, it is raining, and John answers, do you have an umbrella? If you notice, this simple act can show the knowledge about that John have of pragmatic situations, because John goes beyond the literal meaning about the fact that it's just raining, and he starts to make his inquirement about a request if, for example, Sarah have an umbrella. Now let's gonna continue with the syntax part, because this is about how can our students or children are able to organize grammatically correct a sentence, how they can use the structures, how they can use the correct pronouns, the correct tenses to express themselves in a grammatically correct way. This depends about our students and our children knowledge about if they are able to identify when something happened before, when something happened in the past, or if they are saying something that is happening right now. So this is about how they use, for example, in the simple past verbs with ed, verb that change, the regular, the verb with ing, the past perfect tense, and in this way. So overall, the formulation stage is characterized by these important parts. Here I mentioned some things that can affect the process, or something that can appear during the process, as I mentioned about the fascia, the stammering, the sleepless storms, the sporings, and how the children is gonna be developing the different parts of the linguistic, because the linguistic is just one concept, and then we have the semantic, the pragmatic, the syntacsis, and the language development. So this is all part of something that is bigger, and this is how this plays a crucial role into the formulation stage. So thank you so much, teacher. It's gonna continue with the next part.
Hi, this is Luisa. Now I'm going to present you the third stage, which is articulation. So articulation is similar to the process of a printer. There is a word program that goes from our computer, selects the information, and then it produces a result, which in humans will be speech. So speech is the result of the articulation, basically. So now articulation is also physically producing speech sounds. We have some organs of speech here that are chest, throat, mouth, and larynx. But I would like to emphasize the larynx. This is an organ that has adapted itself to for human articulations. Something interesting is that on animals, larynx works as a emergency trapdoor, and on humans, speech has become like the primary function of larynx. Something interesting here is that on some animals, the larynx is absent. As an example, chimps and gorillas. And on other animals, we can locate, or we can find the larynx high in the throat, cramped behind the tongue. And you may be wondering where we can locate our larynx as humans. So you can just touch your neck here, and you can feel your larynx. This is also better known as Adam's apple. And then we have the lower larynx. So this is, lower larynx or lower voice box. So this serves to emulate the articulation of speech. So the benefit of it is to create more like speech sound. Also, it's easy to think that speech sounds are created like in a linear way, are produced in a linear way, that our lungs, larynx, and lips are working at the same time. But articulation is the norm, not like the exception. So then we have this example, keep quiet, kid. This word So all of these words are drossovelar, which means they are made in the back of the mouth. So then on these three words, keep quiet, kid, the dorsum works as so it hunches up and touches the soft palate, and the velum stops the flow of air. Finally, we have here the PET, which is position emission tomography. So they basically examines how the brain programs the articulation or how the brain articulate sounds in a glib manner. So we'll be get more involved on this in the fifth step. So thanks for your attention.
Well, finally, I am going to proceed to explain the last stage of Mr. Level's model for speech production, which is called self-monitoring. Basically, the definition of this stage is the capacity or the awareness that speakers or writers have of correcting themselves uh, while they are still speaking or writing. Uh, I think that all of us have committed mistakes when we are creating a speech, or maybe when we are writing, we misspell a word, maybe the pronunciation is wrong, maybe the word choice that we select is not what we really want. Maybe we stammer, we make some pauses or something like that. So there was this British linguistic, Stephen Pitcorder, who said or who classified these kinds of mistakes into big groups. One group is the misspellings, which are committed, according to him, only by native speakers. And native speakers have the capacity or the awareness or for correcting themselves immediately after they commit this mistake or this misspell. Okay. He says that if maybe the mistake or the misspell was committed in stage 2, the native speaker will go to that conceptualization stage and correct or readjust or reformulate what he wanted to say and say it again. He also says that if the error might be committed in stages 2 or 3, which will be formulation or articulation, he can just like change the word or correct the pronunciation of the word or the words he said wrong. There is also hesitation, which are the pauses that we make while we are talking because the mind or the brain are still correcting or organizing what we wanted to do. Okay? That's about misspellings. Now we have the errors. Errors, Mr. Stephens said that they were committed only by non-native speakers, and because of that, because they were non-native speakers of a language, that they are not conscious about these mistakes, these errors. So they do not correct themselves immediately after identifying the mistake. Okay, so this gives us three principal insights in this production process. One is that writers or speakers are constantly self-editing themselves while they are still writing or still speaking. Okay, so it is a process in which they don't only have to go in one sense, like go straight forward, but they can go back to readjust. Okay. The second insight that we have is that native speakers have a great awareness and they can identify in which of these four stages that we show, that we explain, they are committing the error. So they can go back to whichever the stage they identify is the error and correct immediately, okay, and make the adjustment. And finally, he said that because of this self-correction that speakers or writers can do, this supports one theory proposed by Mr. Chomsky, Noam Chomsky, in which he separates or he refers to the distinctions between performance and competence. So performance are the words we say and the manifestation we do openly about the ability we have in one language. And competence, it refers to the tacit, intuitive knowledge we have for mastering this language or languages. And that most of the time, competence is going to monitor the performance. Okay, so these are this was the definition or the explanation about this self-monitoring stage. Thank you very much.